I'm going to see if I can make this a quick tutorial to cover OODA. All I've done really so far is add my microphone, which hopefully will duck out when the music is playing, or the music will duck out when I'm talking, maybe I should say. And so I've created 3 instruments. Nothing's feeding into them, just a bass sound, sort of middle range sound, and a higher pitch sound. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way. So create a MIDI track. What I often do is I'll figure out what key my song is in, and then I will bring in some sort of chord pad. So I've been using Scalar 2, but just for this demo, I'll do chord pad because it's pretty easy. And then we need to route it to something, because if I play it, it's not going to do anything. So major 7th. So it doesn't make any sound, so I need to route it to something. If I route it to monolit, it's a mono synth, so I won't hear the chords, I'll only hear one sound. But the VHS synth, I actually included it specifically because it would let me hear, it's a polysynth, and it'll let me hear the different notes. So if we route chord pad to VHS synth, and now we go back to chord pad. So I'll probably just do that, and we'll run it into OODA. So once you figure out what your chords are, just play along until you figure out what it is. Then you need to route your pads into OODA, which I don't actually have installed yet. So if I add OODA, and we route the chord pad into OODA. So now when I press the pad, I'll hear it in VHS synth, but I'll also record it into OODA. So if we go now to OODA, so I'm going to ignore everything for now. I'm really going to jump to what I consider to be the meat and potatoes. I think the thing that differentiates this app from other things is this middle area where it's the step sequencer, and you can actually click and hold on individual steps and add logic to it and say, when it hits this step, if these things are true, then jump to a different sequence, which is really cool. But for this demo, when you're just trying to learn the app, I'm going to skip the differentiator and just go to how do I use this app. So for this case, I just need to click this little red circle. It's next to the white X, sort of in the middle top. So if I click on it, it now shows me that step 1 is ready to be recorded by the big red 1. I'm going to close OODA for now. I'm going to go to chord pad, and I'm going to hope that I don't mess up what I was going to play. So it literally doesn't matter how long you press anything for it, because it's just recording the notes, the note data into that step. If you want to hold it for longer because you want to perform it, that's fine, but I'm just going to do it quickly. That's it. So that's my sequence. If you want to do something more cool, that's awesome. I'm just doing something cheesy for now. And if we go back to OODA, it shows me that step 9 is ready to be recorded, but it actually didn't record anything on step 9. So if I click the record button at the top right again, it goes away. So now I've got information on steps 1 through 8. If I hit play, it's not going to do anything, because if we go to the MIDI routing, you'll see that along the top it's saying there are outs. The first out is all out, and so that's like a concatenation of 1 through 4, the playheads 1 through 4. Believe it or not, I actually use that concatenation quite a bit. I'll like route it to maybe drums or other things. But in this case, the first playhead's going to come out of out 1, and so out 2, out 3. So I think I did a 3-note chord. So just for argument's sake, you know how I said that Blease monolit is a mono synth? One of the first things I wanted to do was figure out, well, how do I work around monolit being a mono synth? What if I was to take a chord, split it up into 3 different parts, and then route one to, you know, the bass notes to monolit in the bass range, and the middle note to route to a different monolit synth, and then when it would play a whole chord all using monolit, so effectively making a mono synth into a poly synth. So that was my original messing around with this. But for now, I'm going to actually get rid of all this chord pad stuff. I'm going to clear everything out, and I'm just going to go from OODA 1 out to the first one, which A4 is the bass synth, A5 is I think what I called pads, which was sort of the middle range of notes, and VHS synth as the one I was using for my high notes. So now that I've routed, oh nope, I did that wrong. I want playhead 2 to go to the second one, and playhead 3 to go to the. So I'm going from low to medium note to the high. So over here on the right, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the playheads, and you can sort of jump between them, and nothing's changing because they're currently set for the same exact settings. But number 1 is the only one I think that's enabled. All 2 and 3 are disabled. So if I was to hit play now, we would hear, and I'll do that. And what that's doing is it's playing the out. Well, we can show that too. See that the out from the first playhead is being routed to A4, which is my bass note. So a couple things here. So the first thing is that we've enabled it. The second thing is the pace. It's eighth notes, so let's play with the pace and the length, okay? It's kind of a bass line, so maybe we want it to not be so fast, and maybe we want it to have like a longer sound. That sounds pretty good, but maybe we want it to be lower, so if we click on offset, we could offset the note to be an octave lower. So pretty good. And the rule is kind of what I use a lot in this app. So rule, I don't remember what nth is. You can read the manual. I think nth is sort of like, there's some logic on which note it grabs for each step. But I'm going to click on it and choose lowest. So if there are 3 notes, it'll always choose the lowest note on each step. And there are other options. I can choose the highest note. I can choose a random note. I could go up, so it'll start from the lowest note, go to the next note, and go up, and proceed to get up. And when it gets to the top, it'll go back down. Start from the bottom, go up, down. Sorry, go from the top and go down, I should say. Go up then down, down then up. I don't remember what up, down, I don't remember, like, you'll have to read up on what down, up, and up, down plus is. Rise is constantly rising, fall is constantly falling. I tend to use down, I think I tend to use lowest for my bass notes, but you don't have to. You could totally do the high note in the bass notes. It's kind of up to you, but for this demo, I'm just going to make things easier, I'm going to say use the lowest note of my chord for the bass note. And then, so now that I've got that, I'm going to go to 2, playhead 2. I'm going to turn it on, and I'll jump to 3 for now and turn it on also, and I'm going to choose this one to be use the highest note, and which I think for this demo is going to make sense. And if I hit play, go for 2. Let's leave it at nth and see what that sounds like. So for the third playhead, that's the high note, I chose a faster pace on it, and I made the length so it's like a little more staccato. And then for the second one, why don't we turn off 1 and 3 for a second and hear what that sounds like. So the pace can be different for each playhead, which is kind of interesting. And so all of these settings are for the playheads, but actually on the left side where the sequencer is, you can actually change globally what the pace of the entire song is, and whether the direction of the sequencer goes forward, backwards. There are other options, random. So there's some interesting options here. Sync voices, I remember, is really useful. In the manual, it actually explained what it was for, but I remember finding it valuable. I think it keeps the playheads sort of in sync with each other, so you might want to read that up. And you can shift the whole entire all of the playheads. You can shift the note up or down. You can make individual steps be rests. And I think that's a good overview. I'll just cover the wormhole really quickly. If you wanted to, say on the 5th step, you can click on any one of these steps and it shows you the wormhole on the bottom left. So you can say on the 5th step, instead of always, say on the 2nd playthrough, for instance, and there are other options. The second time, 3 of 3, 4 of 4, trying to see what else there is. A percentage, X percentage of times, it'll follow this rule. And you can say, maybe it makes more sense on the 4th step. On the 4th step, didn't mean to do that. 4th step, maybe 25% of the time, it'll go to, I think you have to hold down none and then click it. So 25% of the time it'll go to the destination of 5. On normal, it won't go to, we can say don't go to next, instead go to 1. So it'll loop from 1 to 4 every single time. That's the normal process. And then 25% of the times it'll go to 5. I think that's it. Like, that would be an example of how wormholes would work. I might add some variation to your song. I don't really use the wormholes, but it's good to know that there's some really cool extra features in there. So I'm going to hit play. I do use random quite a bit. This sounds pretty interesting, so let's see what this sounds like. Let's turn on all the playheads. So I think that's my quick demo. That's how I use it most frequently, I would say.